I have initiated recording at my end as well, and I hope that my screen is visible. Just confirm if my VM and both screen are visible. I just toggled very quickly. Is it or not?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, super, cool. So yeah, hello everyone. I hope that you are already aware with the concept of very basic SQL injection. However, I'll be just going through very basic SQL injection, and we're gonna move to the next level, which is the shell, or you can say RCE. Okay. So this entire session will be on the SQL injection to shell, mainly focused. However, other topics will also covered, which is required to understand that specific concept. I'm not gonna go very deeper into SQL and very basic things, but yeah, whatever is required to specific for the RC, I'll be digging into. Okay. And as we are all from the security domain, I believe that everyone must aware with the basic SQL injection and concept. Okay. Few instruction before moving further. Kindly mute your mic so I'll not gonna get any noise. I'm using my loud home theater kind of setup at my home, so I'll get some noises and I get distracted. If you have any queries related to any of the topic, I have dual screen. Just raise your hand. Once I'm done with that specific topic, I'll come to your point and I'll try to answer that specific query. If I'm unable to answer in some cases, I'll get back to you later on once I have the proper answer. Okay, so please mute yourself and let's get started. Okay, so quick introduction about me. Ojo's recently hired me as an associate consultant. I'm working on one of the project with the bank and leading one of the project as well. Also, I have a quite vast experience as a freelance doing multiple projects related to web network API stuff. I did couple of red teaming assessment as well, in which I managed to compromise the domain and stuff. I am also good at writing small snippets or tools. I have even written one of the tool that can be used for red team assessment or the DLL hijacking using a proxy technique, that proxy checker, which is also available over the GitHub. So you can just Google my name and you will get all the information about the same. I have awarded with multiple CVEs from Microsoft, AMD, SonicWall, and Discord. Also, I have published couple articles, not couple, just two articles at Pentest Mug or magazine, you can say. And yeah, I have even experience with the public speaker over multiple conferences. And I was also a teacher at my beginning of a career. So yeah, another last and final thing, I'm OSCP and OSWE certified. So yeah, if you have any queries related to any help specific for those certifications or something, you can reach out me anytime and I'll be happy to help you as well. Of course, I'll be not going to spoil any of your learning path. Okay, so let's talk about agenda for today, and it will be pretty much basic SQL injection. Well, basic SQL like house, what is a SQL, what is a SQL queries, what are the SQL statements. Very basic. We're gonna look. It's just a quick overview about it. SQL injection, how SQL injection can be performed, when and how you can find what is a very root or what is the core of that specific SQL injection as such. Union operator to inject a SQL statements. Well, there are other methods as well. Consider error or stack queries, or there are blind, there's a couple of blind ways as well to inject your SQL statement. However, this session will be strongly focused on union operator. So if you wish to learn other, well, other concept will be still the same, just the method and way will going to be changed. Okay, MySQL built-in function is really important for this specific talk because there are some function which really helps us to do certain enumeration or exploitation over the MySQL. And I'm focusing on MySQL rather than MS SQL or Oracle or any other. However, same things can be found over other database as well. So maybe the statements or operators will be different, function name will be different. However, concept will really apply over the same. I have good expertise, or I can say I have good practice on my MySQL concepts, and yeah, I'm very confident about it. But for others, probably I need to learn more as well. Everyone is learner, right? Okay. MySQL permissions. What are the permission or privileges inside your MySQL databases? And the next, checking how we can check the MySQL permissions through the SQL when you find SQL injection, or when you somehow execute your SQL query, and how you can basically find what are the permission you have, right? File operator, the most important, that is responsible to getting access to your system, or the RC, the only method, or not the only, but yeah, the most important concept here is related to file and file operation through the MySQL, and that will going to be covered by just learning the SQL injection basic, SQL basic, union operator, some built-in function, privileges, just basic concept about what are the privileges, what are the permission, how you can find those permissions and privileges, and file operators or file operations in MySQL, right? Any doubt for the agenda? I believe that no one will gonna have, but if anyone have any doubt related to agenda, you can ask now. Okay, as mute, I assume that no one has any question or query. Let's start with the very basic about SQL, right? As we are all from the security domain, we are aware that SQL is standard language for storing, manipulating, and retrieving data in a databases, right? Basically, whenever you find any cases where your username password is storing somewhere, or some data is being stored in the backend, assume that that could be a possibility of SQL database in use. And in current time, most of the time they use the SQL for storing your username password if it is not ADFS thing, storing web application data such as blogs, or some little things stores under the database, to get or to retrieve it very easily by just changing some single parameters or parameter value, right? Okay, so SQL is used or supported by multiple database. SQL is just a standard language. It is not a database at all. The database is MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, MS SQL, and etc. There are a couple of others as well, which you can Google, and you'll get most of the information. Okay, so let's just get basic hands-on a demo for the SQL, because not everyone is expert, right? So I'm switching my system to my VM, and I hope that it is. So for this specific session, I have designed a custom lab, and that lab has basically it's a OVA file which is already uploaded over Teams. So you can navigate to labs folder, which is inside the knowledge sharing session folder, and from there you can download the OVA. It is recommended to add that OVA folder or that OVA file into VMware Workstation. Okay, so if you don't have VMware Workstation, or I'll share a key, a cracked key, of course, you can use it as well and practice the same. Okay, there is nothing new for the app. I just designed in such a way that it can be or I can say it can allow me a Windows based BWAP. BWAP is a well known vulnerable web application, so it has both BWAP Linux and BWAP Windows. I have designed a reverse proxy in such a way that using just name or subdomain, you will be automatically redirected to appropriate site related to Windows or related to Linux. Okay, here let's see in the practically. So here it's a for Windows. Okay, you can find it here. You just have to navigate to https windows.bwap.local. once you add that host entry, so I hope that everyone is aware how you can add the host entry to resolve IP to domain, right? So just resolve it, and you will get it here. Similarly, this is also designed for a Windows, and similarly it is for Linux as well. Both are on the same machine, which I have designed, or oops, okay, it's working. Cool. So which I have designed using the feature WSL from. Oh, my screen is blank, is it? Oh, is my screen blank?
Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Okay, that's quite weird. Okay, so basically this OJS SQL is a system. Once you get it, you will get an idea. Let me try to fix it. It's quite. Please. Oops. It is quite weird. I'm able to see here, but on the screen it's not visible. Quick change the configuration.
Try maximizing and minimizing the VMware.
Probably, but here you see black screen. That I can see on this. Okay,
Make
I
sure
have
your
another
Windows
way.
is
No worries, I have another way. I'll use my Linux itself, and I'll connect through RDP. I verified earlier, but yeah, error happens. Cannot do and fix errors, and okay, I can try restarting probably.
Yeah, it was now visible.
Uh, no, it's not right. No, Kali Linux is visible, but when I try to move to OJS SQL, it looks blank for you. Okay, no worries. What I'll do, I'll quickly enable RDP in that system, and I'll connect through RDP, and you guys will able to see it better. Give me a moment, please. Error happens. Remote desktop settings. Enable remote desktop. Okay. Mm, Free with the username Rob, with the password Rob. Oh,
It would be great if you can zoom in a little bit.
yeah, I'm doing. Let me just connect to this RDP, and we are good to go. Okay, cool. I hope my Windows system is visible. Is it?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Cool. So this Windows system is designed in such a way that using WSL, I'm able to set up the same application over a Linux, and using the XAMPP server, I have already set it up. This BWAP application, and there is a one reverse proxy. That reverse proxy redirect according to whatever domain name or subdomain name you specify. So you just have to create a host entry, and you are good to go. So that is it for the lab information. Nothing much. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to access the same things by just navigating through just SQL, but yeah, error happens. No worries. Cool. So let me quick switch to my PPT, we were at SQL injection basics, and we are about to learn the basics of SQL, not the SQL injection, but yeah, the SQL. Let me quickly navigate to SQL tutorial. According to the W3 school, which is a great if you want to really learn SQL as a beginner, for specific to the security domain, this is fair enough to learn. So you no need to learn anything extra. It is just a plain English. You just have to understand the queries, statements, and you are good to go. And here's one of the example which says select star from customers. Customers is nothing but a table name, and there are so many table name which you can see on the right hand side. There's a customers, categories, employees, order details, orders, products, shippers, suppliers, and others. So when I click on run SQL, it will work. Star is a wildcard here, and that works accordingly, right? And star means I want every column of a specific table name, and table name is nothing but a customers, right? I can just change from the customer to categories. I'll get other categories, whatever I want, right? So how your data or how the things are retrieved in a backend when you find a SQL injection or something. So let me just give you a quick example of a scenario. So here I'm saying star from customer. Instead star, I'm saying I just want contact name or maybe customer name. So I'll replace this star with the customer name, and it will just going to show me the customer name. I can add my condition here using a where statement, where customer ID it was, if I remember correctly. Customer ID, I don't remember actually. Yeah, it was customer ID, ID in capital. Customer ID equals to 1. So it will just going to show me a single data, a single row. Also, as I specified a single column name, so I just have a single entity, right? I have very pretty much simple. So you can consider that there is a page where the URL is like the customer, or you can say profile ID equals to 1. So this 1 is a ID. When you toggle the ID, the username will going to be changed. A simple scenario of IDOR, you can say, right? It's not an IDOR, but just consider that there is a ID which is in used for accessing some sort of things, right? It is pretty much simple. Let's move back to our PPT to move it on the SQL injection phase. This is pretty much simple. In SQL, you use a select statement to get uh, all the database data or table data or whatever you want, right? Star is a wildcard here, and you can specify a column or columns as well. So if I want customer ID as well, along with the customer name, I can just run, right? So now I have two columns with a single entity, right? Let me move back to my PPT quickly, and here. Okay. So SQL injection. SQL injection is also a well-known vulnerability that occurs when unsanitized user supplied data is submitted to SQL query without being validated. So here one was a injection point, I would say, or one is a parameter value which is being supplied from a user to um, database query, right? And we can inject our query by just with just the specific example. So if you see here, Berlin, this is the highlighted data is something which is entered or injected to a specific query. So star is everything from a customer, where city equals to developer expected a single values such as Berlin or whatever they want. However, attacker can inject another or extra data within the same, and that works. Now if you see the response here, Berlin with London both is visible, right? Because I added extra or extra SQL statement which did resolve along with this existing query. right? So SQL injection is well-known vulnerability that occurs when unsanitized user-supplied data is submitted to a SQL query without being validated. Attacker can inject SQL query which will be executed by a database, and database can be compromised. Basically, this query injection can be very critical, and I can inject my own statement. This is just a small example, but yeah, I can inject my own statement and I can exploit it further. Insecure database configuration can potentially compromise the system and allow an attacker to execute OS commands as well. So it is even possible to execute OS command when it is not configured well. For some cases, this is even possible. Check below example where user supplied data result unexpected output. So let's just get a quick demo for this injection to get more hands-on. So I'm switching back to my VM. So let's dig in there. So expect that user or developer designed such a thing like user will just going to enter customer ID as a 1. He'll not gonna change it, but I changed it and with a straight IDOR. But if I even exploit it further, this could be even result a SQL injection. An example would be here. It says customer ID equals to 2. However, I can add extra things here where customer ID equals to 2, or again I want customer ID also along with the 2. I want customer ID 3. So here it will going to display both of the result, right? 2 and 3. So I injected, instead of 2, I injected this whole data, and this is how the SQL injection happens. User supplied data passed to a SQL statement which is already there in a backend, and that could lead to execute extra SQL statements, and that could even be dangerous, which we will going to talk further. Any question about this basic injection and basic SQL statements? Anyone? Okay, I believe no, right? Yeah, anyone? Yes. You can feel free to ask. It's not everyone here to learn, so if you are having any question, it's fine. It's even basic, no issues. Okay, let's move further. So did anyone say anything? Yeah, no worries. Now it's time to understand union operators. How union operators can be used. Union operator, not operators. Union operator can be used to combine two select statement, and that is really helpful for an attacker to inject a queries to retrieve a database or perform some xyz attack, right? Union is really great and easy. Kindly mute your mic please, Sanjeev Kumar. Yes, thank you so much, brother. Okay. So union is something, or union is operator which helps attacker to inject another select statement, and this is really important for an attacker, and we will be just focusing on a union based injection for the session. Attacker can use a union operator to inject another select statement which can dump the whole database or perform other attacks, which I'll explain later, of course. To inject union operator, below example are really important. Every select statement with the union must have same number of columns. For example, if a backend database has 3 columns defined, that I want customer ID, customer name, and customer XYZ. Okay. So if I want to inject my own select statement there using a union method, I have to create 3 entities. It can be either 1, 2, 3. It can be a specific table column name as well. It can be null, null, null. However, I have to be very specific for that column numbers, right? The column must also have similar data types. Similar data types is something if first there are varchar or some other. Usually databases are designed, or maybe usually you can say database has by default varchar or similar data types. So we're not gonna focus more into it, but yeah, you should be careful about the data types for that specific column or columns output, right? Column data types. Below is an example. Let me just zoom in here. The first one here, it says select customer from customer name from customer, where customer ID equals to 1, and I have injected the whole statement. So that is here, union. I added a union. Select customer name from customers, where customer ID equals to 2, and result you can see customer ID 1 and 2 both is displayed. Instead of explaining here, let's just go with the practical, because that is really more important. Okay, so here's a great example. According to here, this as well, union operator is used to combine the result set of two or more select statement. Every select statement within the union must have the same number of column. This is really important when you are trying to inject with the SQL queries using the union operator, right? Okay, try it yourselves. And here, so select city from customer, union select city from supplier. Here two table are going to dump, and one column is there, city city. So if I run, it should work. If I add somehow any other here, customer ID, it was right, it's supposed to be fail. It says the number of column in two selected tables or queries of a union query does not match. Basically both should have similar column name. If the first select statement has two column names, then second should also have two column names. So that is really important when you try to use union operator to inject your SQL queries. So always remember this. Cool. So now here I'm adding my own select statement, as you can see, using a union operator. Let's do it practically over a lab. So we'll choose Linux for now. You can go for Windows as well. So here you can click on bweb, and the bweb, the most famous or old school vulnerable web application it is. So yeah, let me log in. I'll quickly select SQL injection. There are vast vulnerability you can try out. So I have designed in such a way most of the things should work. So you can just give it a try. SQL injection, get search, and here. So there is a search functionality consider where I can add some data, and it will going to return some sort of output, right? According to this table, I can see there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and probably 5 five uh, 5 specific column output should be there or could be there. I cannot say, but yeah, there is those data is done from the database, MySQL specific, and here supplied data is being passed, right? Now here I'm adding a string for if I go back here in my SQL editor, I'm removing everything from for now from customers should work. Yeah, I'm adding where city is equals to, if I just type Berlin, it will going to give me an error. For strings, you need to specify either apostrophe or the double apostrophe. Okay, so always remember, here I added apostrophe, right? Now if I type anything here, for example union or xyz or union select, it will not gonna work, right? It will fail. So what else I can do here? I can add apostrophe to complete the older query. So this is now entire query, right? However, I have this extra apostrophe left over, which is just next to it, right? How I can avoid this? Well, you can comment it out. So I added this apostrophe. After that, I can just add minus minus, and you see the rest of the query is completely commented. The green color highlight, you can assume that, right? Now I can add my union or whatever I want. So this is a way to inject your SQL queries, and you all should already aware of. You add apostrophe. Why you add apostrophe? This is the reason. Sometimes your data is in this format, like within the brackets, so you might have to add brackets along with the apostrophe. So yeah, that is another thing. Sometimes you use double apostrophe, so instead single apostrophe, I'll be using double apostrophe to complete that same, right? However, the concept will remain the same, like you just have to comment rest of the query and finish the order query as well. Clear? Now let's check it here, like what will going to work. So I can add double apostrophe, probably I'll get some error, but in real time it will not. With the a and double apostrophe, I didn't get any error, so probably there could be a single apostrophe. There are other ways as well, but we'll go for the very basic for now, right? And it worked. I got some SQL syntax error, and if I try to read that, it says there is some error near apostrophe and percentage. Percentage, what is percentage here? So for string, for example, let me show you that as well. If I remove everything from here, let's move back to single apostrophe. Okay, so now I'm using b and percentage. Probably nothing. Percent b percentage should work. That is weird. Percentage required, like, not the equals to b. Yes, Perling. So like is similar to equals to, and this percentage means it should here any character could be there. It should start with the b, so all the cities started from the b, and it should end with anything. So that's why when I typed here just a, it was showing all the data which contains a. If I just say iron, so it will just going to show me everything related to iron. So probably the backend query is something like percent b percent, where b could be any there. So here b is there, here b is there, and probably others as well. So this is the method which is in used in the backend, which you should always understand when you want to really exploit it and don't want to go blindly. So yeah, I managed to find that. Okay, now my user supplied data will going to be replaced here. What I will gonna inject? Pretty much simple. I'll add apostrophe, I'll add minus minus, and it will going to comment rest of the line. So let's just give it a try. So I added a string, added apostrophe, added minus minus to comment rest of the line. Let's see. Probably I'm still getting an error. So sometime along with this minus minus, you need a space, empty space, and that is really important when you, because you send your data through HTTP, and the plus will going to somehow change the data or just add a space, so it will not going to for example, here it's fine, it is working because it is designed. So plus will just going to add a space to confirm that the rest of the line will going to be a comment. So it is just separating this minus minus or comment operator, right? So let's just give it a try. A apostrophe minus minus and space. I can replace the space with the plus because the browsers understand like that. Okay, there is an error still. Ooh, what is wrong? A apostrophe shows me an error. A full apostrophe minus minus plus probably. Yeah, no, minus minus plus. It should work. Minus minus plus, it works here, not here. Okay, that's quite weird, but here it works. Here it should work, a apostrophe minus minus, and I'm just adding a space instead of plus, and that means the same. And yeah, it worked, right? So plus space will going to replace with the plus URL. Cool. So now I can inject my union operator here. So I can say union select. However, I don't know what are the column names, or what are the number of column. So first target will be to identify column number. Well, how many column numbers are there? Whenever you try to inject, the first task always will be to identify number of column, right? And how you can identify? It's pretty much simple using order by. Let's understand this order by very quickly by just navigating to our SQL thing. So I'm able to get the output. Instead, I'm using a star here. Okay, and let's see. Okay, there is an error. I don't want to do any extra sort of things. Yeah, that should work. So, okay, so now consider that you are injecting your statement here, and it is union and your another select statement, right? But we need to identify column. Here we are know that 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7 are there, but how to identify? So using order by, you can eventually identify the same. So order by, if I say 1, I'm saying that order by the first column. So right now it's a 1 7 12 14 24. It's not in order, right? Ascending or descending. So if I click on it, it should be in order. Wait, let me just select city order by 1. Don't want to go for like for now. Customers order by 1. Okay, 1 is already in ordered. Let's take city. So it's 1 2 3 4 5, fifth one, right? Fifth. And you see city is changed to order. It starts from A. If I change this order by to 1, this customer ID will going to show. Now the drawback of this order by is when you specify any column number which is not there, it will give you the error. For example, if I say order by 10, it will say, well, I don't have 10th column. I don't know where is that column number 10. If I say 8, it says no, I even don't know where's the column number 8. If I say 7, it works, right? I got some output, no error. So that proves that there are total 7 columns, and we can proceed further. Let's take it practically. So I'll go back to my SQL injection thing, and I'll be using my injection point. So here I'll be using order by, I'm saying 1. Okay, I get no error. I'll say order by 10. I got an error. It says unknown column number 10. Cool. Let's move it further. I'll say order by 5. It says yes, it is there. No error. Order by 6. No error. Oops. Order by 7. No error. Order by 8. There is an error. So now I know that total 7 columns are there. Now how to know the column names? I know that total 7 columns are there, but how to identify column name? Well, you no need to even. So let me give you an example. Select star from customer, where city equals to Berlin. Of course, I need apostrophe for this, and let's run it. I got some output, right? And there are total 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? Yeah, probably 7. And here I'm injecting my union. So union select uh, select instead of star, I'll be using select one, which is column number one, comma, where's comma, 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 7, and that should work. There is an input must contain okay, select 1 comma 2 the from customers. It's just for an example. Okay, and here you see that 1 2 3 for whatever column name you have specified is here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, uh, total 7 columns has been displayed here. So I'll do the same here. Okay, I'll say insert, I'll remove the order by, I'll say union select um, select 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma 6 comma 7, because I know that total 7 number of columns is there. Let's try to hit enter, and boom, I managed to get some injection point. So whenever you see this response, consider that this is those are your injection points, like 2 3 5 4. So I can use this two second column to execute my SQL statement. I can use the third column to execute my SQL statement, fifth column as well as the fourth column, right? Pretty much simple. Let's take it further. So now I can execute any command here. For example, to validate, you can always try the very basic command, which is version, probably version open bracket close bracket, and instead of this two, that will be replaced with the specific entity or specific data, right? Pretty much simple. So you might already got this point, how you can use the union to insert your another select statement. This is only limited to select statement, and this is also limited or this is really important to identify the column number. So if you have ever used the SQL map to find the vulnerability, SQL trying to find the column numbers for the union specific, it will going to try to find column number. You'll get some response, right? Hope that everyone is aware. So let me move back to my PPT. Any question, queries till now for the specific union? Okay, seems everyone is genius. Oh, yes, of course, everyone is. Cool. So I'm quickly repeating the same words. The union operator is used to combine the result set of two or more select statements. Attacker can use union operator to inject another select statement which can dump the whole database. I managed to inject my another select statement with 1 2 3 4 whatever number of columns were there, right? And that would result the dump getting the execution of any command through that specific injection point, right? To inject union operator, below points are important, and that is the first. You select every select statement within the union must have the same number of column. If you even remove the single from that 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, it will give you an error. So let me just give it a try. So I'm removing the 7. I'll get an error. What it says, have a different number of columns. So it's pretty much straightforward, right? So let me move back to my PPT. And any doubt still? Anyone with the union operator, how you can inject your SQL statement using a union operators? Anyone? Come on, keep it little interactive. No?
No. So you won't be getting in real time that the number of columns in it doesn't match, right? So
Uh, well, probably you'll get some different response. You won't get the error in real time. Probably you might get, okay, when it is in the under development or something, but you'll find some differences at least in a response. There are other ways as well which can be used here. It's not something that when it is possible to inject a union statement, we can go for this. This is just assumption for now, okay? But yeah, in real time, probably you will find very less to get those error. Instead, you'll get some response change. So you have to identify the response changes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
For the
So how
concept
many
of,
number of
sorry. Uh,
how many number of union statements can you use maximum?
well, probably two or more. So it's not that something which we can just limit to one single. Maybe I had never tried more than one, because one is pretty much enough for the case. And yeah, according to the official documentation, we can use two or more. So probably a number of. You can give it a try, of course.
What are the couple of parameters other than version number?
The version number. Version was a built-in function which I will be just dig into. Okay, the version open
Okay.
bracket close bracket was a function, and which I'm going to dig into in just next slide probably.
Okay. Do you have list of them?
Yeah, probably you can get it from internet.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So any other? No. Okay. Cool. Okay. In MySQL, a function is a stored program that you can pass parameter into and then return a value, right? Some function doesn't require parameters such as version, which you can see on the middle snap. On the left snap, it's a database that doesn't require any uh, supplied value parameter as right. Some requires a parameter which you can see on the right hand side. I can just quickly zoom in, and here select to base 64 if you want to encode any data to base 64, and you can go for this way. So you can just open bracket close bracket, within that you just have to supply the parameter values. It's similar to any other function, whatever language you are aware of, if it is a even a Python scripting language or JavaScript or even C++, it will going to be still the same, right? Parameter concept and function concept. So you are passing a parameter and that should work. So built-in function are the program available by default, right? Over the MySQL or any others as well, but every other database has different function or function name at least, right? Which may changes according to the version in use. So for MySQL 5.6, there are some function which is not available for MySQL 7.xyz, right? So there, according to the version changes, functions are implemented or removed by the uh, owner, okay, or by the creators. The built-in function will help an attacker to enumerate and exploit victim databases. Below is an example of some public functions. Uh, Basically, those functions really helps an attacker to perform various kind of activity, like enumerating current database name, enumerating some more information about the server or the backend server, on which system is running, and so on, right? So let's take it practically, so you will get much more understanding. Okay. MySQL function. So here are the list of functions related to MySQL. There are still more. Official document is always recommended if you want to dig into function, and when you dig into function, always try to read. If you are aware with the with the core language, you can try reverse and read. You might find some vulnerabilities, and you'll get some CVs as well. So you might get more. Those things are really interesting in order to finding a vulnerability, such as the recent one related to the log4j, right? So yeah, those are the function who will be always victim by an attacker perspective. And yeah, so those are the list of default function, or I can say built-in functions within the MySQL. You can just get this list from the same W3 school. And trust me, if you want to learn SQL more as a beginner, as an intermediate, no worries. You can just go here, and it simplified it very well. I'm not advertising. I personally learned from this website. That's why I'm saying. Okay, so one of the function I already shown there, so I'll go and take some more example with here. So okay, probably I have to. So on my left, it's a Linux based terminal, and on my right, it's a Windows based. Okay, both has the same. On the Linux, I have configured MySQL user B, and the password is bug, same as the web, B and bug. For the Windows, it's a root. So you just have to type MySQL -u and root. No need to specify password. I designed in such a way for our use. Okay. So now let's try to get some basic function which will going to helpful for us or understand the built-in function. For example, the first one which I have already shown, select. Uh, I want output of version, and it displays the same, right? So it says 5.7.36. Similarly, I can copy the same, I can paste to my Windows. It is not the MySQL 5.6. I'm using MariaDB for the Windows one, and I'm unable to copy and paste. Probably I can write that small. Select version, open bracket, close bracket. Oops. And here it's a MariaDB 10.1.8. So through the version function, you can enumerate the version of that specific database. The other function which I have shown is select from base 64, I guess. Oops, base 64, open bracket, close bracket. Your base 64 data can be added here. So I have to quickly create one base 64 data. So echo hello base 64, and it's here. I can just paste it inside that. Okay, and here you see it did automatically decoded that space 64 data, right? This can be applied for the Windows as well, and basically those function really helps in order to exploit it further, which we will going to look into in very few moments. Okay, so there are lots of built-in function which you should must look into it. Just have a quick overview is enough. You no need to remember everything. Always Google is there, right? You can quickly search. Everyone has mobile device and other, so you can quickly search and get whatever is required at the specific time. So yeah, there are so many functions in MySQL as a built-in which could be helpful for an attacker. Okay, so when in doubt for the specific function thing, it's a simple, right? Database will going to disclose the current database in use. Version will going to disclose whatever the version is in use, and to base 64 and from base 64 will going to encode and decode base 64 database. And you can find the various other functions from the official documents, not from the W3 school. W3 school is limited to the function which they can allow to execute. Some functions such as from base 64 and to base 64 is not available even in W3 school. Any doubts, question related to this built-in function? We will going to take it further, so no worries. Okay, I guess so. No. Now, as we are aware, okay, I know about the function. Function concept is clear. Built-in function specific, not the function. And now let's move it to the next learning. We learn about SQL injection. We learn about union operator. We learn about built-in function. Let's move to the permission. And now permission is similar to what you have in the file system. The different user has a different permission of read, write, and execute. Basically, your file system allows limited permission. For the Linux environment, it's only somewhere 4 to 5 permission. One will be your read, write, execute, and the other ones are super SUID, SGID, and similar permissions are there. So 4 to 5 permission, I believe. But in MySQL, each and every functionality has a different permission defined. So permission in MySQL or any other database defines authorization to a user over the database for management. For example, I have a root user, which is a DBA, right? And DBA have permission of to do everything, to delete database, to edit database, to whatever or n number of permissions are given to him. It depends, right? Now if I have another user who is just for fetching a data, not to retrieve a data or not to import a data or something, then I'll just give a specific permission to him or to that specific user, so that all thing can be implemented using the privileges and permission allowed or given by the MySQL. And there are vast or there are so many permission. You can count it, of course, but it's so many, more than at least which Linux offer. An example can be a site with two role, admin and a user, where user have only limited functionality and admin has extensive functionalities. MySQL offer many permissions and privilege that could be designed to a database user. The DBA has all the permission. This is the same thing what I have already told. The default MySQL user is root, and when it isn't used, attacker will have all the permission, which is more critical. Usually in current time, every developer prefers, or every management prefers to not to use this root account, but in some cases they give extra permission to users, and when the user have that extra permission, they can abuse that permission, and they can perform critical things, which I'll gonna explain. Sometimes for the application use, some permissions are given to a user who is a non-DBA, and that could be even used by an attacker to perform various operations. For our topic, I'll be focused on a specific permission file that could allow an attacker to compromise the system through the database. Okay, give me a moment. Someone is at the door. I'll just take it very quickly. Okay. Okay, I'm back. I hope my voice is audible. Hello. Just give me a confirmation.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we were at sometime, yeah, we will be focusing on the file permission, which will allow an attacker to compromise the system to the database. As the topic name suggests, we will be focusing on SQL injection to shell, and shell requires somehow file interaction. So yeah, let's take it further. I'll shift quickly to my Linux. Okay, and privileges. Okay, the privileges granted to MySQL account, this is the same thing. You can just read out if you want to go for. I don't want to wish to even. So those are the permission or privilege which is there by default for a specific user, which is granted, right? So if I scroll down, there is one permission called file that allows file access over the host. Execute is there, drop role, drop will going to drop the database, and create will going to allow database create tables and such a things. Create role will do the server administrator. So sometime other permissions can even help to enable or disable another permission, which is such as file. So you just have to take a look into all the permission instead of going with the specific, right? How you can find the list of uh, how you can find the list of permission within the MySQL. So let me just quickly show you. Okay, so you just have to type select star from MySQL, which is a database. You can either use MySQL, you can query such as use MySQL and then select star from user, or you can go with this way. So I'm saying select star from MySQL dot user probably. Yeah, user. Okay, you'll get some weird output. Now it should be better. So here, first column name is host, then user, then select privilege, insert privilege, update privilege, delete privilege, create privilege, and drop privilege, along with the specific user. So user has a different privileges. So what I'm gonna do, select, I'll say user, comma, instead star, I'll just change it here. User, I want a user, and file underscore priv, because this is really important. File allows me to do interaction with the file system. So let me check. Yes, the root user has a permission for file. That's great, interesting. However, MySQL session doesn't have, B user doesn't have. What is my current user? It's a B, and B also have that file permission. I'm not a root here. Okay, for the Windows based database I'm a root, but here I am not a root at all. Now, how we can identify a specific user? So we can use a limit. For example, first I'll just going to focus on this thing, limit 1 for a user, because I just want a one single output. Because when I try to inject with my specific injection point, I have just a limited space of one specific raw, right? I cannot add more than one raw here. So that's why I'll just limit it to 1. And let's see, the first one itself is a B for with the index, right? So I'm good to go. So what I'm gonna do, I know that the first user is a B. I'm going to change this user to maybe file underscore priv, and it says why, that means it is available. Let's take it practically with my with here. So I'll create a brackets in which I can execute another statement. So select, I didn't try, not never tried, but yeah, earlier I used to do this type of stuff. Select it was user from mysql dot user, and probably uh more more than one row. Yeah, I have to use a limit statement here. Limit 1, it says B, the first is B, it worked. Within the bracket, which is my injection point, I can execute a number of other statements as well. So limit 1, I'll gonna change this user to file underscore priv, whether I have file privilege or not, and it says yes, that specific user has a file privilege. If I want to go for other user as well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna first find the real the current user. So I can change it to 2. Okay, limit 1, sorry, not here, limit 1 comma 1, and here I'm gonna change the 2. So I want the second one. Limit will be still the 1, but I want the second output. So here second is mysql.session, third one will be mysql.sys, probably fourth one is your root. Now I just have to change this user to file underscore priv, or whatever privilege you want, whatever the column name you want, and it says yes, root also have the file privilege. You got my point, right? Probably yes. Okay, there's no that's quite non-interactive. No worries. So I can try other permissions as well. For example, I want to see alter priv. So oops, here I'll change from file priv to alter privilege. It says yes. So you can just play around to get more information about the same. However, and this is all about a file privilege, and what file privilege can do, we're gonna see in next slide. So let me move back to my PPT. Any doubts so far related to this permission and privilege concept? Anyone? People are going away. Earlier it was 30 plus, now it's 25. Okay, I hope that this is not going difficult or boring. Anyone?
No, Raghuvansh, you can continue. We are interested.
Okay, super. Hmm. So let's move it further. Now checking my SQL permission, I already done with it. I didn't remember that I already have created a slide. But yeah, this is an example which you'll get from the PPT for a reference, which you can go and check tomorrow. To get the current user information, you can also use current user function because you might not aware which user in use in the backend. So current user function, which you can see here, can be used here. So that current user function will going to allow you to find which user in use. So here in the bottom you see b at the rate localhost, that defines that b with the localhost access in use. So b is a username. Next, file operations in MySQL. As we are aware about built-in function, we are aware about permission. Now let's take it forward for file operations. How we can use that file permission to perform some file operation. There are three major uh, built-in function which I will be focusing on. The first one is of course the load file. What load file will gonna do? Load file will gonna load any content from a file system. Of course, for example, my MySQL service is running with the root. It's not a user, MySQL user, with the root account of a file system or the for the system. Then I can load any of the file. However, if my MySQL is running through a normal user, I will only able to load a file which is accessible. So there are still file system restriction will going to be implemented or in use, so you have to be aware with that. Out file is a function that writes whatever data you want in a specific directory. Dump file is a similar to out file, but there is a drawback that you cannot add line terminators. So if you have some binary data exe or php file with the multiple lines, probably dump file is not something which you should go for. Okay, so once file privilege is confirmed, we can use built-in function to interact with the file system. There are few functions in MySQL which can handle file operations. There might be one more. I don't remember that exactly, but you can just dig into it. So something like load data in file. You can Google about it, and that's pretty much it. Attacker can use those function to read confidential files or write the files which can be executed later. Also, it is important that it is not possible to overwrite an existing file through the function mentioned above. Any function, basically out file or dump file, will not be able to overwrite an existing file. So if you are thinking MySQL is running with the root, I can just replace the etc shadow file for Linux or for Windows SAM file or something. Well, that will not gonna work at all. It is not designed to even overwrite any of the file inside the system. Okay, so you just have to take care about it. Let's take it practically in a demo so you will get much more understanding about the same. People are still getting away. No worries. Okay, so here I know that I have a file permission and we are focused on a function first, which is a load file. Can I yes, I can select load underscore file. As it is a Linux based system, I'll be using Linux based files. Okay, /etc/passwd. Simple. Let's try to load, and boom, I managed to load that etc passwd. This is a file which you will find always in a Linux system. Okay, always this file is must. For Windows, let's check it. Select load underscore file. Can I zoom in? Yes, I can. Good. Load file, and the load file name will going to be c:/windows/win.ini. Most of the system has this win.ini, which you can give it a try. However, there are host file, there are other files as well. You can Google, or you can go to this payload all the things and get all the Windows file system list and Linux file system list. Boom, I am able to read the content of the same. Let's take it practically with our vulnerable injection point. Okay, so here instead of this bracket, because I'm executing a function, I'm gonna say load underscore file, open bracket, close bracket, and that will be slash etc slash host this time, or maybe host name, right? I can do whatever file I want. Okay, and boom, it says preventive of OSQL, right? Even I can use this third, it doesn't mean I cannot, so I can use multiple and that will going to work for sure. Let's try it with the Windows version. So let me quickly connect pwap. It's B with the bug. Okay, save it. So I'll copy the entire thing because it's same, 100% same. Okay, probably I'll copy the SQL one, question mark. Instead of etc hostname, I'll just replace it with c:/windows/win.ini. And boom, I managed to get the content of that specific file system, right? Now you'll get more interest about the file permission. File permission is really critical. You can load a file, also you can dump a file, right? And for an example, what I'm gonna do, a moment please, someone is at the door, sorry for interruption. भैया मीटिंग में है, अभी कोई भी ठोकेगा आके संभाल दे. Back, neighbor's child disturbing. No worries. So let's take it further with the dump file. So what I'm gonna do, I'll use the dump file in order to dump my data in a specific location. Oops, there was an error. Oh shit, I was using this thing, I forgot. I was using RDP. Connect. So select, I'm gonna use from base 64. Okay, you can even add your plain text, that is not an issue. Select from base 64. So whatever base 64 data you wish to add, I'll prefer to add one-liner shell. So I know that target application is PHP, so PHP one-liner shell. Robinson's is the one of the shortest. Okay, this small one-liner shell. What I'm gonna do, I'll quickly encode it in a base 64. I'll use the one line only. Encode. Because of there are character restriction, apostrophe, double apostrophes are there, so it is always better to encode it in a way that it move safely from source to destination. From base 64, I'm going to validate. Select from base 4, open bracket, close bracket. From base 64 is all together. Okay, it seems it is perfectly fine. Now I can use the dump file and out file. So let's use out file. Always prefer to use out file, but there is an alternative as a dump file. When you have no new lines, you can go for dump file. So what I'm gonna do, out file I want to output in a web hosting directory, and that is /var/www/html/ probably here, right? Usually web hosting directory is this, right? Commonly, right? You can even find the web hosting directory using a load file by just loading Apache or whatever server is. You can load the configuration file, and by just reading that configuration file, you can find more information like where exactly application is located in a file system. So what I'll do, I'll try to write here as a shallow.php. Okay, always prefer to go and use the dot name, because dot is a hidden in Linux file system. So even if there is no logs, of course, they're gonna check their file system, they're not gonna find it. So it's just a small tip, and that's it. Enter. I got an error. Wow. So let's understand what that error is. Oops, where's that error? Here it says there is an error. I near file where there is an error, so something else error. Select from base 64 this into, I forgot into. Okay, I was expecting error but not this one. Into, it says access denied, permission denied. I cannot write to that where www html. Now I have to find a location where I can write. Usually in a web application, you will find a writable location as the uploads, which allows users to upload files such as photos or xyz, right? You just have to enumerate. You can run your dubbuster, gobuster, or anything. You can find logs, because web application parallelly use the log file location in order to upload or generate a logs and save it parallelly, right? So you can find those directory and you can try uploading. So I somehow, let's just assume that to save time, I know that,
will be writable, right?
sorry.
Temp folder also will be writable, right?
Probably if you find temp folder, no, for the web hosting directory, we are writing our web shell into web hosting directory so we can execute our shell code, right? This is our small one-liner web shell. We are writing in a web hosting directory, so it can be executed. We can writing in a temp file will not gonna make any sense to get RCE, because we cannot execute it. To execute it, we know we can execute it from the web application. So what I'm gonna do, I know that vweb has a log folder, and inside that log folder, log or logs, I don't even remember, but yeah, there is a log or logs folder which allows me to, or which allows everyone to have a write permission. So boom, it worked. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just navigate to that specific location, which is logs slash shallow. I know that there was already shell, so that's why I changed it with the shallow.php, and boom, I can execute it. Now I just have to add a parameter e and my command, who am I, and boom, I managed to execute command. So using a file privilege, I am able to write the output or write content data into the file system, which is critical, right? I can load internal files, I can read config file, I can read any PHP file, source code, or anything, whatever file name I know. I cannot list the directory, but I can read a file with the file names. Makes sense, right? To everyone. Probably a little less interactive. Never mind. Cool. Similarly, for Windows, for the exam, you can Google about what is the default web hosting directory for exam, and you can try writing your web shell over the same. And using a web shell, you can execute a command. Let me move back to my PPT, because there is one concept which is still left over. So I hope that this load file, out file, and dump file you understood. Dump file is the same as out file. I don't want to spend more time to go and dig into it. Here, the next. Okay, so load file, I can load a Linux file system, I can load a Windows file system. However, there is one more advantage when it comes to the Windows. We can load our SMB shares. We can load our SMB share, and if you are aware a little bit, when we load remote file shares, which you can see over here in the highlighted in a green color, when we can load a remote file share SMB specific, it uses NTLM. What does it means by NTLM? NTLM basically authentication I can say authentication algorithm kind of thing, and that can be cracked. It's like a hash or something. So that can be cracked in order to get the plain text password for a executor user. Executor user is through which user that specific program or MySQL service is executing, right? Let's just take it practically. How we can load the remote SMB share. So in order to do it, we have a couple of ways. First, if you are aware with the responder is a great tool I can use, ETH0, which is my interface. I can start my all kind of listening stuff, or there can be configured. I don't want to dig more into it, but now I know that okay, there is a host name is defined. I can access, or even I can use the IP address. So what I'm gonna do, I'll inject my this remote SMB location in order to capture the hash of a specific user. So let's just give it a try. So select load underscore file. Same thing. However, here in a Windows operating system, I'll be focusing on remote share. And to access any SMB share or a network share, you have to use backslash, right? However, here backslash is considered as a escape character. Escape character means if I use just two times, the first will going to escape the second character, which will become just a single slash. If I add two more, it will becomes only two backslash. So backslash is considered as a escape character in a SQL. So let's just give it a try to access, which is 10.0.0.9, my remote SMB share. I can use random name, random SMB name, and random file name, random file.txt, because I am not really interested. Also, single backslash will going to be replaced with the double, because single backslash will going to considered as a escape character. So if you are not aware about escape character, Google about it. It's simple. So let me hit enter. Output is null. That's fine. I am not even interested to get output. However, I managed to get the NTLM hash for the Rob user. Now I just have to use this NTLM hash. I can do pass the hash. I can do various kind of attacks, right? So let's just capture. Let's just crack it quickly. So Control Shift T, Vim. It's a rob dot hash probably. Yep, copied entirely. John rob dot hash hyphen word list. It's simple with the latest word list equals slash user share word list rob queue. Probably it will not gonna take much time when it comes to the NTLM. Okay, so it's really simple. And let's start it. You see my CPU usage over here, it's very fast. John is really fast. Okay, and boom, I managed to crack the password, and it's a rob itself. So for the rob, the password is specified as a rob R0B. Okay, I can access it. I'm already accessing it with my RDP, but that is something which you can think of. I'm just giving you an idea. When you find it on a Windows OS, any related to a file system access, you just have to try to gather the hash in order to do some extensive stuff. So this is the most common thing which I used to do in my red teaming activities or red teaming projects, not with the MySQL, but MS SQL is really great for doing such kind of things to be you see database admin and other things. So yeah, those are the concept. I don't want to mess it right now. Cool. Let me go back to my PPT. Any doubts so far for this load file, how I managed to get the NTLM hash, how I cracked it, how we can use load file, how you can use a dump file? Any doubt about that? Anyone? Genius. No, just I feel dumb now. Okay. No worries. Let's move further. No doubts, right? No queries, no question. Okay. So yeah, this is the same thing which I did. I managed to crack the hash, and yeah, this is another way using which I get the NTLM hash. Basically, I executed my SMB server, which is pre-installed in your Linux system. Let me just highlight that here. That is pre-installed in your Linux system, which you can use, and probably you can do the same, copy that entire hash and do the other things. Clear? So this is already I have shown you through the out file function we can create a new files over the file system. We cannot replace that. Remember, if I try to replace, I'll get an error. Let's just give it a try. Probably I need a Linux one for this. Okay, I already have that shallow.php. So if I try again, it says there is a okay, this is not I need that into out file one. Okay, it's here, shallow.php, and it says it's already exists. So you cannot overwrite any of the file system. However, you can always create new files. Okay, writing web shell over the web hosting directory is something which you should try when you have the file system access. In order to find the web hosting directory, which is the most difficult task, you can always load the server config file using load file function. You can load server config file. You might encode it with some sort of base64 thing. You can decode and read it properly in offline something, and that will reveal this. I found a similar case in one of the OSCP examination machine, which I solved for on my own. So yeah, for my own exam, there was a machine related to this kind of stuff. So if you are preparing for that, this concept really helps you for the same. Second, if it is not always allowed to write files over web hosting directory as it can be isolated, usually uploads, logs, or sometimes temporary files location within the web hosting directory is something which you should focus. So web hosting directory is really important here because through which you can execute. If it is not PHP, if it is ASPX or something, I'll probably get the ASPX web shell instead of PHP, and I'll try to upload that. So you should be aware of the same. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Any Q&A or any doubts, question, queries related to same? Anyone? It's all done. Let me move back. We learn about SQL basic, we learn about SQL injection basic, we learn about union operator, we learn about built-in functions, we learn about privileges, we learn about permission and file operations within the MySQL, right? So any question, queries, any feedbacks, anything would be really appreciated. mm,
The session was really informative, Nicholas. Thanks for such a good session.
Okay. Any improvements or anything which you'd like to add here with your knowledge that would even helpful for others? Anyone? Anyone? I know everyone is.
I have one question.
Yes, please.
Actually, we done SQL injection by like code execution. I wanted to curious know what is the background process happened over there.
Where you mean a SQL injection to code execution? You mean?
Yes. I know. Curious to interest. What is the backend procedure happened over there?
What is the backend? I already explained, right? Through the base 64. Here, let me show you what I did. Wait, let me share my different screen here. It's already exists, but this is the same query I executed. I loaded the base 64 encoded web shell, which is here. I encoded this small line of web shell, one line web shell. Okay, because this is the simplest and smallest payload I'll get, which is quite good. And I dumped that into a web hosting directory where I can write, and probably I found a location as a log. In real time, you have to try and error in a different file by just doing some fuzzing things. But here I managed to find that I was already aware as the logs file was I was able to write into it that directory, and I written that shallow.php, and the data is base 64 encoded, which will going to decode using from base 64 function, and the decoded data will going to be placed under that specific location. Oops, you got it?
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Any others? Okay, then as no queries, no question. Anyone else?
I have one.
Please proceed.
Yeah, when that the SQL map also there is like OS command is function is there. So that is also using the same thing or some
You
different?
mean this ID, this one?
No, in the SQL map, there is
SQL
also
map,
like
OS shell.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it will gonna use the same. If you have ever used it, it will gonna say use a default list of file path, or you
Mhm.
want to specify on your own. So if you manage to find that specific path, you can specify, okay, this is the writable path. If you didn't, it will going to it has its own word list in which it contains so many list of default web hosting directories. So it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, but knowing
In
real, yes.
background, they are using the same thing.
Yes, they are using the same thing. Always, if you want to learn SQL injection, whenever you find it with the SQL map, the best practice, what I learned from my past experience, is to
Mm.
go for the verbose mode in a
Yeah.
SQL map. Go for 3 times verbose mode, so you'll get each and every query in details, and
Mhm.
from that you will learn a lot. You'll know, okay, this tool is working like that. And really, that making SQL map is really very difficult. It's not the one time tool. It was written earlier, then implemented more features, and right now it's a really solid thing I have ever found for the SQL injection specific.
Yeah. So I have also one time did with that SQL map, the OS command.
Yes, there are other methods as well. When you find the stack queries or something, you no need
Okay.
to write that specific. There are other methods as well, but this is one of the method. Okay, when it's
Okay.
specific for the MySQL, there is a method. For other Oracle, or if you say about MS SQL, there are quite other methods as well, which you should even learn because that are interesting. Trust me.
Okay.
Yes.
And one more question, like
Mm-hmm.
with some of the applications, like so many parameters are there. So is there any way, because it will difficult to me to get that find the SQL, because sometimes like firewall is there and not getting proper error or any blind kind of thing is there. So any
Okay, what I personally do, most of the time, you just have to understand or get information about what the backend database could be there. And I
okay,
prefer to go for couple of blind this time-based payloads. And time-based
okay,
payloads works most of the time, and you can identify it manually. If you see that time-based payload works, there is a high chances of SQL injection. If you didn't, it doesn't mean there is no SQL injection, but
hmm,
probably it's it might be a little safe. And yeah, for testing all the parameters, yeah, you have to do it, but you have to understand what are the parameters which could be there connected with the database, and go for the smart testing. That's what I can say.
okay,
No, I never test all the parameters with the bombard with the SQL injection. I'll see what are the parameters, what are their functionality, and according to put the payloads.
okay.
Time base is really great. So always go for a time base when you want to start with the finding. So yeah, later on you
Mhm.
can abuse it with the various way, but time base is one of the best for blind, for whatever is there. It will always work.
And that and the out of band, how it is like difference in that, like is there kind of restriction? We are not getting any output.
Okay, so for out of band, whatever I am experienced with, it is they are using the same way of loading a file and thing for MySQL specific. So they will
Mhm.
gonna try to load a file from a location, and they will append the data along with that, or some will try to request that. I can cover that out of band topic in a specific another knowledge sharing session, but right now it will confuse other guys. So you can reach out
Yeah.
to me. I'll happy to help you for that as well.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Thank you.
So do you follow the same process of time-based SQL-i when it comes to exams like OSCP or OSWE?
In
Or to say,
OSWE, no. In OSWE, it's no, it
because
wasn't at
SQL
all.
map is restricted, right?
Yeah, we cannot. We have to use the manual way, and I learned this type of things in my beginner time only, when I initiated with the cybersecurity thing. So probably I prefer SQL map when I'm already aware that there is a SQL injection. I'll just put there are 8 number of columns and every rest of the data to make SQL map more faster and accurate. So this is what I follow personally, and yeah, there is a restriction in
No.
OSCP and
My
OSCP.
question was when it comes to the exams, right?
Mhm.
Certification, they don't allow using the automated tools, right?
Yeah, so we have to use this
So
way. That's what I said now earlier. In one of the OSCP exam, I used the same way. One of the means I had only one attempt. But yeah, in that exam, in my exam, I was able to do this. I had to a little play around for finding that specific directory of what I'd say. mm, Web hosting directory, and once you find the web hosting directory, you are the boss. Also the writable directory.
okay.
It is also in a lab. I guess I did in lab. I don't remember. I did OSCP way back, so I don't even completely remember. Either it was in a lab or exam machine. You can if you want to learn more about the same way, you can go, and there is a one machine from Hack the Box which you can try. It's a control, I believe. I'll verify and I'll let you know if I found that Hack the Box control has a good concept about the SQL injection to shell. Also, this lab is with you, so you can practice on Linux with the Windows, whatever you wish to. So with Linux, Windows, both will gonna work. Okay. Any others question, queries, doubts, recommendation, improvements, anything will work. We are here to. Oh, no one?
Uh,
Yes.
Because we wanted that another session for that. We have just found that CV.
Probably it's from 2020. I don't have enough information about that. For example, I have the report. I can showcase that, but that will be waste because they take so much time for the AMD. So consider that I could have been abused that AMD for entire year. They have patched it recently, and I found
Yeah.
it in a 2020. So that is a drawback, but right now I don't have any proper demo or practical information about that, and that time I was not that good with the reporting, and so I might feel a little shy to even showcasing that. But yeah, I'll try my best. I also have did a couple of videos on DLL hijacking. I have already
Mhm.
uploaded over a YouTube channel. I'll share it with you. I did
Okay.
it for my community, and that was still there. That is still there. So you can go and
No.
check that out to learn more about DLL hijacking.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you find the same vulnerability in any of the bug bounty platforms?
Uh, okay, so I lack a lot of patience, and that's why I don't get into bug bounty. I try to go for the research base, not more than that. So yeah, the patience is something which I am lack of. In bug bounty, you need such a patience. So probably it's not something which I prefer. And there are so many competition. You'll find 14 15 years of guys doing bug bounties, and they are just very focused on that, and they are just focused on one single thing or stuff, and I don't prefer to go with that crowd. And yeah, let them earn. I earn enough with other things. So any other apart from this?
No.
No. Okay, finally. Cool. So that's all from me. See you all. Bye bye. Good day. Hope you enjoyed the session.